Okay, I'm always saying that I'm going to do you a little resin video and I keep forgetting, so I'm going to try and do one today as I am doing some commission pieces, so I need to give them a resin coat. So this is my kind of beloved resin at the moment. Really easy to use. I have warmed these up in a jug of warm water. The reason being they will both mix a lot better if they're both slightly warmer, and it is only warm, I don't put it in hot water, just warm. Just place a bottle in there, kind of 10 minutes. I normally go and have a cup of tea and things and then come back and they're ready to use. It's equal 50-50 ratio. So I've got my little cups. I'm going to put 25ml of each in a cup and then combine them in here. I haven't got my phone on a platform, so I'm going to kind of try and film as I go and then slice it all together into a video. We'll see how I do. Here we go, equal parts A and B in these cups. I'm going to pop them in this cup. It's a nice thick plastic, so I know it's not going to melt with the reaction of the two resins together. So here I am, ready to resin. I mixed all my mixture into here. I have then put it into separate cups. So when you mix up your resin, it starts to have its kind of chemical thermostatic reaction, and if you leave it really deep in a cup, what can happen, if it's a coating resin like I'm using, it can start to cure. You can get a quick cure, which suddenly will heat up and it will cure in the cup. So I find by putting smaller amounts in different cups, it saves that happening. So I'm literally got my tiles out ready. We're in my bathroom. As it's a room, I can shut the door, lock it up until these are cured. So this table is 100% level. I've used a spirit level. If it's not level, all your resin's just going to drip off onto one side. And I start off by putting some resin on the tile. I'm going to try to do this one-handed so I can film. And then I will go around the edges. And that's just me wanting the perfect finish once it's all cured. This is definitely not ideal to do one-handed, but I'm going with it. Like so. Okay, and then it's a bit tricky to see. Let's put a little bit more resin on it. And then just wanting to smooth it around my tile. You can pick it up and tilt it. I'm doing it one-handed though, so this is certainly going to be easier one-handed. I'm just moving it around the tile. I've got enough time for me to go around and do that to all the tiles, and then I'll have a look at them to see how level they are, because they will naturally try and level out for us. We'll come back in a second. Okay, so these all now have resin on. There are some areas where I feel like the resin is just a bit thinner around these kind of edges. That can happen. A couple of things to resolve it. One, I can babysit. So as the drips come over, I use a gloved hand, scoop them up and put them onto those edges where they're dripping off easier. As it starts to cure and get thicker, it will stop falling off. So that's one way of doing it. Or you can just go for it, and if you've got areas that are thinner, that just means you're going to have to give it a second coat. I haven't torched them yet, so I try not to over torch with resin. So I'll do it like so. Any air bubbles that want to kind of come to the top will have done so pretty much now. So I'll give it a, just like with the acrylic pouring, it's not a lot it needs. Just to pop those air bubbles. And then I will literally go around and look really closely and see if I can see any little divots. Can you see right here? If we can see on this camera, I can see on this edge here, that's a lot thinner. Okay, so I would soak it. I know my table's clean, so all these bits of resin won't have hair or anything in them from the dogs. And I'll just pop the resin where I think it's thin. Okay, and as it meets the other resin at this stage, they should join up nicely for us. If in doubt and you think you've got a ridge while you're playing around with it a little bit, just give it a little bit of heat with the torch and it will sort that out for you. Unfortunately, I can't do this and film. So I'm just going to fiddle around with them before I leave them for a while. A couple of other tips. My table, covered it in sticky back plastic. That way I can either scrape off all the resin or, if need be, depending on how much spillover, I can literally just peel it all off when it's dry. All of these tiles are taped on the bottom with masking tape. So these strips that come around the edge, I'll be able to get rid of this evening when it's still just cured and soft enough for me to take that off and get a lovely finish. So yes, that's me for now in my bathroom. Very hot, as I put a Peter in here. Try to get the room up to around about 23 degrees, something like that. Enough where you sat here getting a bit hot and sweaty. Yeah. See you soon. I'm just mixing a little bit more resin as I decided I didn't feel like I had quite enough on there. I just want to show you, when you first mix the two together, it goes a little bit cloudy. Okay, and I keep mixing, and that's normal. Okay, you keep mixing. What you don't want to do is vigorously be mixing it, because you're just going to put loads of bubbles in. So you're almost, I don't know what that technique's called, or if you do it this way, I suppose it's a scooping technique, and that's the best way to mix, I find. And then make sure you scrape the edges and the bottom to get any bits that might not be mixed out in your mixture. Many places say you need to mix for 3 minutes, others will say 5 minutes. It really, I probably only mix for like 2 maybe. I can tell we're nearly there now. The clarity is clear. I'd say it needs a little bit more mixing because of the amount of bubbles. I'll keep mixing and then let it sit for a few minutes. And then I'm just going to put a bit more on. I feel, because it's coming off these edges, because the edges aren't flat and they're slightly going round, I just feel if I give it a little bit more resin on it, I might not have to do a second coat. But obviously I do want a perfect finish, so I'm being fussy.